bathroom, I come back, I stare at it some more, I leave for the day, I come back, I decide I can't fix it. 2 weeks later, I go, oh, I got it. And then I open the code and I turn it into this. So, yes, so take your time. Alright, so let's try this, because we did refactor a bunch of stuff and we did kind of make it weird. Okay, so do we want to step through it? Let's step through it. Execute. Throw in a breakpoint, and I'm just going to fight Beth. So I come into my execute method. I do look, it's not look, and so it's going to be the game response. I hit F11 to go in. I split the command. I haven't tested any of this, by the way, so if it bombs on us, we're going to have a good time figuring out why. And then I have my arguments, which is fight and Beth. And then I want to get the game action using that first argument, which is fight. So I go into that method. I just make sure it's all trimmed and lowered. And then if the action map contains fight, we want to get back the game action. So let's hit F10 for that. And with F10 again, and we've gotten back the game action fight. So far, so good. The argument length is 2, so we messed up here, I think, right? Because this is going to hang on. So we've gotten back game length of, argument length of 2. Let's talk about why that is for a second. So we're getting this back because the index and the length are two different things. So the length is more like the count and the number, and the index is 0 based. So let's fix that. Let's hop back in here, get it down to here. The length is not greater than 2, and the game action does not equal none. So we're going to skip over, right, because our game length is 2, and the game action is fight, so we won't process this guy. We're going to come in here, we're going to get the target, and we're going to pass in the index of 1. So we go to our game objects, and we find the first game object with the name of Beth. And then we go, now that we have all of our elements, because we're doing a command parser, right, an interpreter. So well, this is the algorithm that we've written to get all of our bits and pieces to pass to the hive mind. So now that we have everything we need, we create a new game request. We pass in our game action of fight. We pass in our player, who is us, and our target, which is Beth. Hit F10. We're pretty confident it's going to work, so we're going to hit F10. We're not going to run through, because we only have like 5 or 6 minutes left in our hour. And I get my response back. And then I go ahead and clear the previous line. I display the command, and I draw the status bar. Boom. So that was a pretty good refactor. Things are rendering pretty well. We're keeping track of our health and our stamina. We can look at people. We can look at the room, and it says Gary looks around. We can look at Carl. That has a health of 100. Carl is a beast. This is where we start to kind of get into our, I'm going to say the fun part of the game, where we're saying, hey, I can fight Beth. I can heal Beth. But now I only have 12 stamina left, right? And so I'm keeping track of that. I'm still looking around. I have 12. And so if I mess around with my stamina and then I look at Carl, and I'm like, okay, he's got 100 health. I'm only hitting for 8 damage. I don't have enough turns left to kill Carl the zombie. So that's where the strategy of the game comes in. We haven't written any of that yet, but we're able to kind of play around. Let's just fight Carl. Fight Carl, fight Carl, fight Carl, fight Carl. With Carl. Alright, 60. So, it would probably take 2 players using up all their turns to defeat Carl. And this is where we get into the concept of items and scarcity, because we want to start being able to... let's look around. Oh, and I got another bug where I'm not showing my game items anymore. Alright, cool. So, we want to be able to get items, equip them to our person, so that we can hit harder, heal more, and take better advantage of our stamina. And then better items will have better effects, but they'll be more scarce. And then we add in this item system to the game. So we have our basic problem puzzle part of it, which is how do I fix, kill, or negotiate all these problems away with the turns I have, and then also how do I level up, gain items, and make my character more robust. Okay, so let's take a look at our look command real fast. Okay, so they're going to draw a room. Everything there. But then when I hit look, alright, so I should get the title and the description. Now I should have players, monsters, and items. Output targets. Output the name of the monsters. I reset the color. I output my players. I output on the ground. I reset the color. Oh, there we go. So I clear the previous line prior to displaying the command. And in this case, the previous line is on the ground, test hammer, test glove, test charm. Well then. So let's get rid of that line real fast. And go in here to display command. I got this replace line already in there. Let's see what that does. So I just take out. Just a little better. Cool, right? So we just had a little bit of redundant code in there. This feels good. Oh, I see. We had that code in there because we wanted to we didn't want the status bar to be showing up every time. Now that I see it there, I kind of like it, to be honest. I think it breaks up the text a bit. We could, though, not to hide the problem, we're putting that here to remedy. We just need to put that someplace else, preferably in the display command. or the draw status bar. Preferably the draw status bar. Alright, but anyhow, that's not going to be the only UI issue we're going to face. So let's test out what happens when I just type in blurgity blurgity. Sorry, no command matched your request. Cool. That's what we want to have happen. And then we want to fight Carl, heal Beth, look around, look at Carl, fight Beth again, look Beth, Beth has 5, fight Beth, look Beth. Beth died, we just didn't get the message. If we look around, Beth is now gone because she fell to the ground. I want to get the test hammer. Yep, so it says, whoops, something went hella wrong, please try again. That's because while we have the command parser set up to take in the get command pretty easily, when we pass it over to the hive mind, the game engine says, I've got no clue what you're talking about. And it just bombs out, and we trap that exception here. Another good reason to do this is because we want to keep the game engine / hive mind as performant as possible. So we don't want to bog it down with unnecessary things. It's just if the first sign of trouble, we want to say, I don't have time for you, this is a weird thing, bomb, take your exception and handle it. Because presumably, our game engine is going to be handling requests from all sides. It's going to be, let's just say we have 50 players, and every time a player types in look, or look's a bad example because that's our render, but every time there's something, like actual action that says like, hey, fight Carl, we're asking our game engine to handle that request. That's every time. So you can imagine people just pounding on the keyboard, 50 different players. You want to make sure that if the game engine can just short circuit and exit out as fast as possible, it's doing so. Alright, so now I'm out of stamina, but I kind of want to heal Carl. And it says Garrett begins to move and then collapses because I'm out of stamina. Okay. So that kind of wraps up our hour, but the game is feeling better every time we come back to it. As far as like a text-based adventure game, let's go over to just Google and look up what the inspiration was for this. Used to play a lot of text-based role-playing games as a child. Looked a lot like this. You can see that, right? The giant war dog snaps at you with his teeth. So there's a lot more in terms of the game mechanics for rounds and initiating combat and turning combat off, gaining experience, having a little status bar. I'm not really sure if you can. Is that better? Yeah. So these are the kind of games I played as a kid, and they're super fun. And we're kind of making an homage to that with our guy. Right? So fun. Probably won't be as feature-rich or as big of a world, but for 6 weeks of design patterns, I think we've done a pretty good job. Alright. I think that's it for the stream. We've hit our hour. I'll figure out what to do moving forward as far as like this kind of concept of doing something like this in 8-week sprints. If that's the case, then we'll do one more week next week on this game, adding as much as we can. And then I'll take maybe like a week or 2 off. And then we'll come back and we'll start over again with the factory pattern, starting fresh, going through the kata, and then figuring out a new project to apply it to. So, as usual, I will start closing down and commit all this to GitHub. If you have any ideas on the stream or what to do, you can find me on Reddit. .com under watchable code.